not put it off any longer. For almost 40 years, I have been shirking my vegetable-consuming responsibilities, and now it's time to face them. Don't get me wrong, I would try to lean towards healthy eating often enough. If I decided to treat myself with a bit of fudge, I always went for pumpkin or cranberry variety to get my fruit requirement in. When picking out ice cream flavor, I would choose a vanilla base, vanilla being a type of bean. If I went out to eat and was asked which side I would like with my entree, I would pick the French fries to get potatoes, a veggie after all, in with my meal. And of course, I never held a lettuce, onion, or tomato on my burger. The pickles I would toss aside. You can only go so far with a health kick. But for some reason, all of the hard work above was not enough. Apparently, I needed to take a more thorough and active stance on eating vegetables in their natural form. I have been told that they are a necessary part of the diet, and eating more of them will help my health and BMI. But as someone who has taken great pains to avoid them whenever possible, where to begin? I like the idea of corn, well, cornfields anyway. They present such a nice image of middle America and kids with overalls and ribbons frolicking in the fields. But a super healthy cousin who actually has a small farm in her backyard, too weird even for my family, a farm in Massachusetts, informed me that corn is now the root of all evil. It seems, she insists, we Americans eat too much corn and give too much of it to our livestock, and that is why we are falling apart. I guess that is good news. It is only the idea of corn that I like. The actual stuff is icky. Okay, I can handle a salad. I'll go with that. But no, it turns out iceberg lettuce is really just a big clump of green water. It's not that healthy, the experts are starting to say. I was about to give up when a friend directed me to Dr. Terry Wall's website that shows a super good-for-you eating plan designed especially for people with multiple sclerosis. At first, it was terrifying. Dr. Walls wants you to eat 9 cups of green leafy vegetables a day. That just seemed insane and totally overwhelming. But I was committed, so I continued exploring. One of the veggies she recommends is spinach. Well, I can kind of deal with that, especially if I use the bagged dry spinach and load it with dressing in order to pretend it is salad. That might work for me. The wet stuff Popeye used to chug is out of the question, but maybe I could accept the dry stuff. Then Dr. Wall said something wonderful, something I could totally work with. It turns out that kale is a green leafy of all kinds, full of all kinds of nutrients and good stuff. Wow, I thought only Portuguese people knew about kale. And I had no idea it was a vegetable. Is Dr. Wall sure about this? I always thought kale was just a soup additive that you got from your grandmother's house or your cousin's yard. Oh yeah, farm, now I get it. This whole time, it seems we Portuguese folks were already on the health track. I did some more research, and it turns out that kale is the new black, meaning it is the new superfood. And since it is super good for MSers, it is the new orange as well. Yay! It shouldn't surprise me that my Portuguese friends and family were leading the way in this regard. Didn't our Brazilian cousins discover last year's new superfood, the acea berry? Who knows what we will discover next? Maybe the delicious Portuguese pastry trutas are the next superfood. Why not? Trutas are filled with sweet potatoes, so there you go. We Portuguese folks have now discovered 3 new superfoods. What about codfish cakes? The poor cod is one ugly fish, but he is a fish, and so maybe filled with good proteins and stuff. Hey, I bet he eats kale too, and so if you eat codfish cakes, you might be getting protein and a vegetable. And then there is the wine. I don't care what the French and Napa Valley people say, the best wine comes from Portugal. And research shows that red wine is really good for you. The experts suggest drinking it in moderation, but I know a lot of other experts that drink it all day, and they seem pretty healthy. They're pretty vocal and animated, at least. I guess my dad knew what he was doing when we visited his homeland when I was 12 and he wouldn't let me drink American soda. You are in Portugal, you'll drink wine like all the other Portuguese kids. I thought he was being weird. Turns out he was just worried about my health. Encouraged and energized, I set out to start my new healthy eating plan, and the world fell into place. A nice hot bowl of kale soup filled with all good things good. Vegetables, kale, who knew? Potatoes, and a tiny bit of carrots to give the soup some extra color. Carrots are no longer one of the best veggies, and I don't want to muck up the soup too badly. Beans, the soup just gets healthier and healthier. Linguiça, protein, thank you, and salt pork. I don't know too much about salt pork. Is it a vegetable too? Even if it's not, it just adds a bit of flavor, so how bad can it be? Red wine, some Portuguese bread, hello, grains, butter, dairy of course, codfish cakes as a side, all kinds of health benefits there, and trutas for dessert. Repeat this meal 9 times a day. I love Dr. Walls. This is going to be a cinch.